Hello, my name is Annabelle Osborne. I am a higher education champion at Norwich University of the Arts, and today I'm going to be talking to you about portfolio advice and looking at how to prepare your portfolio, particularly focusing on digital submissions, as for the next coming year most universities will be requiring digital portfolios. So this is what we'll be focusing a little bit more on today, but I will mention a little bit about hard copy portfolios as well. So the project that I work with is with a number of universities across East Anglia. So as well as Norwich University of the Arts, we've got University of Suffolk, Anglia Ruskin University, which has the Cambridge School of Arts. So this presentation will be quite generic and covers what most universities will be looking for, so it won't be specific, but it will give you the kind of foundation of where to start with your portfolio. So as I said, today we're going to start with looking at digital portfolios. We'll look a little bit at hard copy portfolios, and we'll finish it off with interview preparation. And within that we're going to look at the fundamentals of a portfolio. So just to start with, your portfolio is a window into your personal creative practice. So when you're applying to university, after you've obviously submitted your application to UCAS and they've seen your personal statement, this is the first thing the academics at the university are going to see. So it's really important to express yourself as a creative practitioner through this method and through your portfolio. So what are universities looking for? So there are going to be three main assessment areas. Firstly, that's looking at your technical ability. So please include a range of varied work. So this can include different scale, different media and approach, but the universities will be looking at, they want to see, like I said, a varied piece of work. I know that sometimes we have work that it looks, we may be adapting it in different ways, but it's quite similar. But when we are showing a portfolio, like I said, we want to see a range of work, different projects, different ways of creative responses. So we want to avoid that repetition. Some professional development. So this is where your sketchbooks take place, and when they come under digital portfolios and submissions, that's when you can choose particular extracts from your sketchbooks as well. And then we also want to see a bit of contextualization. So what artists and designers influence your work? So you want to know a bit more about that as well. So you want to be able to stand out. So we want to see your unique approach. Now, we appreciate that lots of you will be doing A-levels or BTECs. You could be working on the same themes and projects as your peers, but we want to see how you individually respond. We want to see your passion, and we also want to see a bit of risk-taking as well. So not staying comfortable within your project or theme. We want to see you to push those creative boundaries. And alongside that, you can also include work outside of the classroom, such as shows, work experience, competitions, publications, or even work you've put in an exhibition. Don't worry if you don't have this, but we put this in because I know some of you might have done work outside the classroom, and also it is okay to submit that in your portfolio as well. So firstly, the fundamentals. Think about the quantity of work that you're going to be showing. Every university will have a specific requirement. Generally, this is between 15 to 30 pieces in a portfolio, but please check every university you apply for that asks for a portfolio what their requirements are. Make sure it is course relevant. So when I say that, if you might have applied to a couple of subjects, different courses. So say you're applying to animation and games art design, that's okay, but make sure your portfolio goes across that. But equally, say you're applying for a photography course and you just include loads of work that could be very fine art based. As an academic's point of view, they might look at that and say, why are they applying to photography? Why aren't they applying to fine art? So just please consider that when you're doing your portfolio. Make sure you have a neutral backdrop, because we don't make sure it's not too busy, because we don't want it to distract from the work. So whether that's just a plain colour, I think white works really well. I mean, some people use black, but just make sure it is neutral, and also avoid repetition. So I mentioned that a bit earlier. The portfolio is where you choose a couple of pieces to represent, like I said, all the pieces of work and projects you might have worked on. So when you've only got 15 to 30 pieces to choose from, it's better to choose, like I said, a varied pieces rather than using up that quota on very similar work. And I've also put in there, be practical. So this relates to hard copy portfolios. Like I said, we are focusing on digital portfolios for this talk. But I know that some universities could be taking hard copy portfolios. So when I say be practical, if you are working on really large pieces within your projects, that's okay, but actually practically carrying that around isn't. So think about how you could photograph large or heavy work and display that within your portfolio, rather than having to take the physical pieces in yourself. Diverse photographs. So once again, like I said, we don't want any repetition. It would be nice to see diverse work, and make sure they are quality images as well. So say you want to include an image of a sculpture, that would be lovely to see. Just make sure that it's not pixelated, it's a good quality, and especially if we're going to be looking at it on a screen, make sure it isn't warped or that the file is too small. So just really check that, because we want to see good quality images. Subtle labelling. So we do need to see what the work is called, what the work is made of, maybe a little bit of context as well. So like I said, make sure it has your name on your website or portfolio, and like the titles. But we don't want this to distract from the work. So we need this to learn a bit more about what we are looking at, but we don't want it to distract from the work itself. So storytelling, so think about your layout. In a hard copy portfolio, this could be as you flick through it, and we want to make sure that it all flows well. You could break it up into different projects to make it flow nicely. If it's on a website, you could categorize it, so you could have a main title page. You could then break it down into maybe your multiple projects that you've worked on, and then kind of show all the work in each section. So just think about like the storytelling, so it's really easier for us as an audience to navigate and understand the flow of your work. Be clear and consistent. So this could relate to like the quality, the titling, the labelling. We just like it to be clear and consistent. And also you can include a sketchbook extract. So where you would normally submit, you would take in a hard copy portfolio, you could take in sketchbooks as well. But for online submissions, you can still include some sketchbook work, but I would say you could photograph or scan certain pages in your sketchbook to go within the portfolio as well. So it's not missed out, because we do want to see your development work. It's not all about final pieces, but there you can be really selective of what pages go well to go alongside within your portfolio. Written work. So not all universities require this, so once again look into your university specifications that you're applying to, but some do, so that's why I've got it in here. So some ask for some academic writing skills that could be related to your chosen subject and course. It can be between 500 and 1,000 words, so just make sure you check whether this is a requirement or not. And just to go in a bit more focused now, so digital portfolios. Like I said, in this situation at the moment, most universities will be asking for a digital portfolio. So you can submit this in various different ways. You could create a PDF file and send that. If you don't have PDF, you can, or PowerPoint to make a PDF, you could use Google Slides. You could use the host site, blog or website. So this is something like Wix, WordPress is a different blog. There are so many, like I said, host sites on the web that you can use for free, and loads of different platforms to show your work. So just do what you want to do and can represent your work clearly enough. So those are a few options there for you. If your university is asking for a hard copy portfolio, as I said before, you're normally looking at 15 to 30 pieces of work. That will be within a digital or hard copy portfolio. You could take a hard copy portfolio in a folder, in archive box, so that image that we've got up there, that's an archive box. It's really good for photography or maybe textile pieces, or you can do it in a creative presentation. So say there is a particular way you would like to exhibit your work which doesn't fit in within the traditions of a folder or an archive box. You can do that, just make sure it relates to the project and the theme that you're working on. So the types of work that we like to see, they can include paintings, prints, photographs, drawings, models, maquettes, collages, fabric swatches. So once again, lots of varied work we would like to see when applying. So within a hard copy portfolio, you could include plastic wallets. That's what I did myself. I actually applied for illustration and I studied that at Norwich University of the Arts, and when I took my portfolio it was hard copy, and I used plastic wallets because it keeps the work really clean and easy to flick through. So sometimes people don't like them because they can be quite glossy, but for me they did keep the work really clean, especially when you take them to different universities. Once again, photograph large, heavy or delicate work. We would still like to see these pieces, but just make sure you take good quality photographs of them. And lastly, if you are going to include photographs of your work, you could also think about the context of how you photograph the objects. So I've got some examples here of some fashion garments. So you could obviously submit it taking a picture on a mannequin, but equally you could do it on the catwalk with a model wearing it, as that can be quite good to show it in a different context. Interview preparation. So not all universities will be interviewing, unfortunately this time, but I know some still will. So we are going to talk about that a little bit today. So if you are going to be preparing for interview, make sure you talk through your portfolio, whether it's an online one or a physical one, with either your friend, with your parents, your teacher, anyone that can listen. It doesn't matter if they're creative. At this point we want to just see whether your portfolio flows well, and be able to discuss your work. So let them view the work independently, ask for feedback of what they think, and discuss any adjustments. So they could be good at picking out, spelling errors, or if the labelling looks a little bit wrong, if some of the work could be shuffled about, a bit to make it lay out a little bit better and look a bit clearer, and try and find pieces of work that you can use as a talking point as well, because if you do go to interview, you need to be able to talk about your work confidently, so it's really good to have a bit of practice at this. So in an interview, you could be asked a number of questions. So I've just put some examples here. So why have you chosen this university? What do you like about this course? What informs your creative decisions? What inspires your work? What part of your practice are you most proud of? What would you want to improve upon? What is your understanding of the creative industry? What are your ambitions, and do you have any questions for us? So these are just some questions to think about. I would, before you go to interview, just think about what your answers could be to some of these, just so that you are prepared. It's also great to have questions as well to ask them, because it shows that you're really interested. So it could be anything from are you able to collaborate across various courses? What access do you have to workshops to do your work? What facilities do you have? So things like that. It's really great to come prepared with some questions yourself as well to ask them. But also don't worry if they cover the points and you don't have any questions, that's okay as well. So a checklist for you. So when you have put your portfolio together, once again, ask for feedback. When we look at the interview questions, consider your answers. Make sure you submit your link on time. So this is looking at digital submissions. So a number of universities, that you could submit it via a link or multitudes of ways, but make sure you submit it on time. And lastly, your portfolio is about showing you at your best, as well as within the interview. So as long as you've prepared and focused on and looked on what I've done and said today, then that's great. And just be confident about talking about your work, and that will really show through. So what are your next steps? So when you are thinking about making your portfolio, firstly, research into each university you are applying for and check their entry requirements and portfolio requirements, because every university could have slightly different specifications, and different courses also will ask for different things, and potentially a different style of portfolio. So please do check that. And if it's not clear on their website, please contact the universities directly they often have admissions support or student recruitment support, and they will be able to help you with any questions. Please attend online open days. So I know that a lot of those have gone virtual now, so that will give you a great taste of what the universities are like that you're applying for. Some are also offering in-person campus tours, so this will be the next best thing for you to actually visit the university itself and see what it's like, see what the location is like, and have an opportunity to ask lots of questions, and also get involved in any taster sessions or online workshops that universities are offering, as this is a great thing to just, like I said, explore different subjects, learn as much information you can, to then go on with your portfolio and your applications. So if you have if you would like any more information, our website with a multitude of resources. We also have a lot of subject taster workshops there, as well as other advice, is takeyourplace.ac.uk. And lastly, good luck with your applications. I know it's a little bit different this year, and traditionally we've always mostly submitted hard copy portfolios, and I know that's changing quite a bit to digital, but there are a multitude of platforms out there to really show off your work to the best it can. So good luck with that.
thank you for listening.